Welcome back to another episode of Wicked Darkness with Soup Hit Paranormal. I'm Kathy, your host, and with me tonight is Rich and Dan. We're all members
Howdy.
of Soup Hit Paranormal. You guys doing all right tonight?
Yes.
Yeah. Dan, how about
Paranormally
you?
well.
Just peachy.
Just peachy.
If you knew
Well,
what was behind
this
you,
week-
you wouldn't be peachy.
This week we're going to be talking about the Chupacabra. The elusive Chupacabra. In Spanish, translated into English, it means goat sucker.
Mm-hmm.
This is a cryptid which doesn't have a long history. I mean, really, the first sighting was like 1995 in Puerto Rico, which I was kind of shocked when I saw that. Like, I thought it was longer than that.
I thought so too until I was doing some research on it too, and I was reading some stuff and listening to some other podcasts that I was listening to, and they talked about it. I was surprised as well that it was as that recent.
Right.
You know,
because you would think when everybody talks about it, it seems like it's something that has been out there as long as Bigfoot, really.
right?
But
it's changed.
yeah.
You know, the first sightings were a totally different type of creature as to the later sightings, which I don't know that there's many other cryptids out there that actually have kind of morphed into something totally different. If you look at what they look like, it's not even really
so I was looking at that, and it's like,
you know?
Puerto Rico, they're talking like a 4 to 6 foot tall creature that walks upright on 2 feet, has oval eyes like an alien.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's one that was like a mutated kangaroo with like spikes coming out of its head down its back, and it's not anything that we would think that it would look like compared to the United States, which is more of like a canine. I mean, even when I was looking at it, they were even talking about like monkeys. So this thing is like morphed so many different ways.
Yeah, and it's weird because I mean I look at the Latin American one or the Puerto Rican one.
Mm-hmm.
Reminds me of something from Land of the Lost,
right?
One of those creatures from something back on the TV show, you know.
Yeah,
when you look at it, you're like, what the heck is that? Because when I think Chupacabra, I think
if I stand up a little bit,
you know?
There's my cryptid. There he is.
Yeah,
right
there you go. Yeah, there you go.
That's what he's supposed to. That's their version of what he looks like.
Right.
Dan, behind you is the American version.
Yes.
You want to tell us a little bit about that one?
So, what's behind me is an actual taxidermy body of what is considered the American version of the Chupacabra. It's canine-like with grayish skin, blue-gray kind of skin. This one itself has really deep blue eyes. It has an overbite and some unusually long teeth, and the claws in the front of it the feet and claws are different than any canine I've seen. It has a longer neck than a coyote would, and is kind of built like a very malnourished combination of coyote and wolf. The tail, from the research I've done on this one, is about 3, 4, 5 inches longer than a normal coyote tail. It has a lot of extra tufts of skin around the ears and neck. It's not hairless. It's kind of like an Egyptian cat where the hair is really fine. So when people say it looks like a dog or coyote with mange, that's really not correct, because mange is more giant clumps of fur missing in spots. This is, from what I've read and heard, it's kind of more like an elephant skin with fine hair all over it.
Yeah. Well, with dogs that have, or animals that have mange, it's not just like the hair that's clumped up, but the skin, it's like, because it's mites that are on there. It's an infection with little insects, little tiny, minute bugs that make like this. It almost looks like a calcification on the skin, I guess you could say. Because the skin isn't smooth. It's not just where it's missing the hair or anything. Mange has like this distinct look to it. Like there is a skin disease on the animal and it's almost like raised up. This that you have behind you here looks smooth.
Another weird thing about this one, they showed on a program I was watching about it. There's like two round disc-like bone protrusions on the back legs, like where almost like devil horns were that were sawed off. I don't know if you've ever seen like Hellboy and where they sawed off his horns and they were just the circular bones.
But he has horns too, though. This one that you have a picture of, he's by his ears. It looks like double ears, but almost like horns.
Yeah.
On top of his head.
And they've been known to have like a spiky ridge along the back. This particular one was actually found dead on the side of the road by a Dr. Phyllis Canyon in Nuevo, Texas. And she had several chickens that had the feathers ripped out around the throat area and just two little puncture marks and no blood. No blood in the chickens, no blood on the ground. And after this happened a few different times, she started putting like sand or something around the chicken coop to try and get footprints of whatever was doing this. And the prints she got are similar to, you can't really see the feet on this picture, but are similar to the paws of this thing. Who knows? It could be coincidence that this thing was found on the road by her ranch. And I don't know if I would see something like that. Sure, I would be intrigued, but would I grab it and then call a taxidermist? I don't.
Right. Well, I know I kind of did some research with her as well about this particular animal, and she had notified her other neighbors. She has a large ranch in Texas, and she had asked her other neighbors if they've had problems with their, animals as well, and if they do, because she is a doctor. And she had just gotten back from Africa. She does things with animals to begin with. And so she saw some odd things in Africa, animal wise, that she really doesn't talk. She didn't, in this particular article, she doesn't talk about it, but she's never seen anything like this. And so her neighbors had called her because one of them hit the animal, the creature, and notified her that they had possibly killed this animal creature thing. And so she went and got it. And then she was taking pictures of it. And then I guess another neighbor down the road also called her. And that's where this one came into play, is that this is the one that she picked up and put in the back of her truck. And there's like pictures of her with just the head that she had taken just the head of it.
How big is that taxidermied one there? Do they give you an idea what the size of it is?
I didn't see how big it was.
I'm just curious how it compares to a dog or a coyote, or because obviously if it's a lot of times they're comparing it to the Mexican hairless dog,
right?
But clearly that doesn't look like
it's bigger than that. It's bigger than a lot of dog species. It's somewhere between the length and height of a coyote and a wolf. But like I said, this thing seems to have longer hind legs too, and it was described as having a much longer neck.
Yeah.
Just by looking at this picture, the more I look at it, there's no way that's a coyote. I have no idea what it could be.
No, and the other thing is they were talking about, could it be like a mutated animal that was in the US facilities, testing facilities, and did it escape? And this is the result of whatever testing they did on it and created this monster. I don't know. I guess that was the thing that happened in Puerto Rico, is we had a lot of testing facilities from the US in Puerto Rico, and they thought that created the kangaroo, monkey, alien looking thing that whatever one people had seen in Puerto Rico.
Right. Well, this version here, the one that looks more canine, I would think would be more. I can understand where people are confused, or if there's more sightings of it, because you can confuse that more than you can confuse the reptile alien looking one, or some type of cross between a kangaroo or a monkey one. I mean, no, those ones I think maybe a little bit more. If you see that, kind of like I don't know, what am I thinking? Loch Ness Monster, different things like that, where there's not many sightings of it, but you hear, everybody seems to know a lot about that stuff. Where this here clearly looks like has canine or whatever, very similar. Not saying what it is or isn't, but yeah, by looking at the features, you can see there's a lot of different features there that aren't a regular canine or wolf, coyote, whatever.
Right.
Very, very strange, but definitely would be if it is something that's natural, it's definitely mutated. Definitely, probably. I mean, I kind of can see the testing part of it. Is it something that somebody purposely had their hands in?
Yeah. But
I mean,
what about the
only
blood
because of the
sucking,
time frame too. It's so recent. It's not like it's ancient, for the sightings of it. It's more recent. So, I mean,
but I don't know any dog that's just going to suck blood out of an animal. I mean, when they go after it, yes, canines go after the neck area of another animal. That's just their predator instinct. But I don't know any dog that's just going to suck the blood. And most animals that can do that, not that a mosquito is an animal, obviously it's an insect, but vampire bats, they have, there's special features in their mouth that is designed to suck the blood out, and their digestive system is different. Because, I mean, blood is a lot of iron. So for them to take in that's going to mess up their system with so much iron. How do they go through their digestive system and not get sick?
But I don't know that anybody can prove that. I don't know if that's proven that they're actually sitting there. I think what the misconception is here, and I hope it's okay that I speak like from this side of it. I'm not trying to prove or disprove. I'm just trying to, from what I've read and what I've heard, I'm not, I am the skeptic, but I mean, I do love a good cryptid, and I love the Chupacabra. So I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but I don't know that anybody's come across one standing over a carcass, sucking the blood out. I think the misconception is they find the 2 teeth marks, and whatever they find is drained of blood. Well, if it bled out, it's going to be drained of blood. And I think some of them were even described as they weren't totally drained. That's what was said, but they weren't actually totally drained. And it's kind of the same thing with like the cow mutilation stuff with the aliens and all that type of thing, where they say that's something that happens when there's alien activity around. You'll see cow mutilations happening and stuff like that.
Right.
So I mean, I don't know that anybody has proof that they've seen this animal actually sucking blood out of anything. I think it's more of the story of it started somewhere, and then down the line it just kind of grew and grew, and it's turned into something more than what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
well, I mean, I work in the medical field, so I know that I've been around people that have passed away and they have been gone for a while. And what happens is the blood goes from being completely circulating through the body to settling on whatever is on the ground. So say if they're laying on their back, the blood, goes down to the back side of their body. If they're laying on their stomach, it goes to the front side of their body. Whatever is laying, that gravity is pulling that blood down, that's where it's going. Has anybody picked up these animals that they say have no blood in them, and have they actually opened them up on the side that was on the ground to see if there's any blood that is pooled there? I mean, I don't know if anybody's actually done that, or are they just assuming because there's no blood on the ground and there's no blood by the wound that they have actually sucked all the blood out of them, when in reality it's just pooled at the bottom side of their body.
From what I've read, nobody's actually done any type of, I believe it's called necropsy, on them to determine if they died because they bled out completely.
Yeah. I mean, again, I don't know that much about the chupacabra. I mean, I know enough about it, but I don't know what people have actually done to disprove what's happened, or like you said, they had the cows and stuff like that. They had that problem in Puerto Rico, where there was cows that were split open, and that it was very graphic what I was reading. It was like a hole was penetrated through the cow, like a 6-inch diameter by however, I don't know if it was like 6 inches or if it was deeper of a wound inside the cow. But then everything was supposed to have been drained out of the cow. There was no blood on the ground. And they said that it had the puncture wound. It was like 3 puncture marks. And that's where the chupacabra was supposed to have taken the blood from the animal. I don't know where the splitting would come into play with the creature, or that circular hole. I don't know why that would be there, but they say that's what happens. That, or they'll see the claw marks, because the chupacabra in Puerto Rico, at least, and I don't know how many claw, the claw itself of the Texas chupacabra, but the Puerto Rico one is supposed to have like 3 claw marks, 3 claws itself.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's a mystery. I mean, I would like to see one of these alive and see what it does, and how it reacts around things, and if they could do some genetic testing on it to see what it is. Is it alien? Is it not alien? Is it just a hybrid?
Well, if they taxidermied that one, why didn't they do some testing on it?
It's a good question.
They actually. I watched a show on Discovery Plus. It was In Search of Monsters, and the entire episode was about the chupacabra. There is a lot of really good information in it, and she did end up having some DNA tests done on this thing, and they found like some trace of coyote on the mom's gene side, and Mexican wolf on the father's gene side, mixed with a lot of stuff that was just extremely inconclusive.
Well, hey, if that's what we're talking about, then if it's a hybrid and it's a mix of all that stuff, who cares if you call it the chupacabra? Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. I mean, no one knows. So
No.
I mean, if it's a hybrid and whatever, so be it. Then that's a chupacabra.
Right.
I mean,
It's just strange how it's, like the American chupacabra is so much different than the Puerto Rican one.
but I
And I
think
mean,
you
not
have a
just
better
Puerto
chance
Rico,
of
but
seeing that
Latin
one right
America.
there. You're gonna have a better chance of seeing that one right there, I think, than seeing the Puerto Rican one. The Puerto
Right.
Rican one, I think, is pretty sci-fi looking to me. I mean,
Well, it's funny
oh,
you say that because like the the lady that had come out and said, that she saw the chupacabra, it came out to her. She was in her mother's kitchen area or something like that. She was in her mother's house, and this creature was in her backyard, and it was standing up on 2 feet and looked right at her with like the alien red eyes, the spikes and everything, and scared her, and she screamed, and then it scared the creature, and that creature leaped over the fence into the jungle of whatever is behind her mother's house. But when she was asked, I guess in 1995, the movie Species came out, and the creature in Species looks awfully close um, characteristics of the chupacabra, the Puerto Rican chupacabra. And she said she watched the movie and she liked the movie. So is that like her imagination that she had envisioned that this is what she saw?
sure,
I don't know.
I can
But it's
understand
just
that. Something that's fresh in her memory, and someone starts asking her what it looked like.
right. But then there was
Maybe
another
start
lady
getting
that
mixed up.
said that she saw like 4 or 5 different little creatures underneath the bed. She shooed them out. They were like gray little creatures that she shoot out underneath the bed with her broom. Um, and it didn't look like the 4 to 6 foot alien spiked kangaroo, whatever. There's the monkeys that it looked like a monkey, but it wasn't a monkey. Is just weird.
There are just so many variations of this thing, and so many theories, and so many stories.
Right.
I mean, one of the theories that I had heard is that early on, some people saw a UFO hovering over the rainforest there in Puerto Rico, and it somehow crashed into a mountain or somewhere over there, and some people that's witnessed this got over to the crash site before the military had a chance to, and they saw these alien bodies inside that looked a lot like what the chupacabra is described as. They said that as they were approaching, they saw some couple like survivors of the crash leave the craft and run into the jungle.
Mm-hmm.
There's that theory that they're aliens and these dogs could be like some sort of
Right.
mutant creature from some other universe too, sent to deal with us. And I don't know, there's so many wacky theories. Like you said earlier, some people think that they were military experiments. We created these creatures to go after our enemies.
Yeah. But it's just, I mean, it's a cool looking animal. I not that I'd want to keep it at home with my pets, but it's something that it's different, and it's it's something, it's a elusive that you can't get it. I mean, the last time I think I saw something that was published was like 2010, 2007, somewhere on there that I saw. But there's not a lot of accounts about the chupacabra. So, I mean, is it something that is, like Bigfoot? You don't see it very often. It just comes out when it needs to. Is it, I mean, out west, there's vast plains and, mountainous areas and deserts and stuff like that. So, I mean, there's a lot of area for that creature to roam. So, I mean, has it moved? I mean, there was some places that I saw that, I think it was Princeton did a timeline of the Chupacabra. And there was even like scenes or people have seen it in like Maine and East Coast area. Wasn't too many. I think the closest one was in Michigan. But it's around. It's going around the country. It's just not very prevalent on the East and Midwest. It seems like it's more Southwest, at least in the United States. And is it because it needs to be in a warmer temperature? Because, I mean, Puerto Rico's pretty warm.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's hairless, so I don't think it would do really well in Wisconsin, at least not in the wintertime.
No, we'd have to call it something different.
Yeah. It's a strange looking creature.
It is.
Strange, but there's just enough mystery there that it could be real. I hate to say the word real, but I mean, like I said earlier, if it's a cross between something out there running around, there's packs of them. I mean,
right. Well, there has to be, because if she was able to capture this one and her neighbor had one down the road, there has to be packs of them somewhere. It can't be just a single.
No, I'm sure there's packs of them, but I would bet that if there were any more found, I bet you, and they did DNA testing, I bet you're going to run along that same bloodlines of the coyote or whatever Dan was saying they had, on the mother's side, and probably canine, and probably a bunch of, dog, whatever, wild dog, or who knows.
Right.
And as it goes, it probably changes even more,
right.
The longer it's around. I mean, who knows? This might not be the last rendition of the Chupacabra that we hear about. We could hear about another one that someone says looks totally different.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I'm just looking at this one right now of, Juarez, Mexico, May 2nd, 1996. And this is from that Princeton, timeline. This person says that there's many small mammals, dogs that have been met with a tall animal-like being with three-toed feet, with hands and haunches, with the forearms suspended at its chest level, very similar to a kangaroo. And it has a row of spikes or straight feathers that protrude from its head and down its back that raise and lower. So it's like it must be like when the dogs and cats get excited and they get angry or whatever and their hair stands up. I'm assuming that's what these spikes or feathers do. And then it says that it's been seen to have glow. It has seen to have glow with its with light, and then so it's like a luminescent type material, and has been seen to take off on all fours. And they have a sucking device that seems to be like a tube that projects from the mouth. And that's what the account was in Mexico, which doesn't sound anything like this thing, because this one in Texas has an actual tongue, it looks like, not a tube-like structure that comes out of its mouth, unless it's hidden somewhere in the body and it comes out only when it's feeding. I don't know, but from here it doesn't look like that.
That would be even more frightening.
Right. Then I would say it's really alien.
Yeah, if that happens to that creature right there, yeah, then we better start talking a little bit deeper.
Can you imagine? All of a sudden, this thing is like coming at you, and this tube thing comes out of its mouth, and spikes come out and start to glow.
No thanks. I wouldn't want to run into nightmares. This the way it looks there. I mean,
right?
Yeah. I don't know, but that's in Mexico. That's just across the border. So, I mean, they have something completely different than what we have. And then there's been attacks in Mexico and Miami, wounds that are about a quarter inch hole, similar to a biopsy puncture, that are completely through the muscle tissue. And at least one instance, the wound were discovered pronouncedly through an inner tissue without leaving any wound traces on the surface of the layer of the skin itself. That's pretty, I mean, I don't understand how that would happen, but having those kind of puncture marks all the way through to the muscle and everything. I mean, he can do that with the teeth that I see, and it almost looks like his canines are double, like at least on the top. Maybe it's just the shadow that I've seen on its tongue, but it looks like there's like a double canine teeth. Or am I just is it just the image on the tongue?
Yeah, that's like I'm looking at a closer picture. It's like the light reflecting the tongue on top there.
Yeah. We got like a minute left, so we're probably going to get off of here in a little bit. We'll continue it on though, just so you guys know. But yeah, that's what it kind of looks like, is that protruding. I don't know. It's weird to me. So this is going to end in less than a minute. So we're going to get off of here, and then we're going to come back on, and I'll be able to splice it together because I've been able to do that lately with the other stuff. So I'm going to probably end the recording, and then we're going to hop back on. That works for you guys.
Yep.
And we're going to continue this on because I want to know more about this Chupacabra. All right. So we're going to end this, and then we're going to hop back on. All right, guys?
Sounds good.
Okay. I'll see you guys in a little bit.
All right.
Hello again.
Steve is still chilling.
Good for Steve.
Huh?
I said good for Steve. Welcome back. All right, so I was looking at this whole thing of this timeline of the Chupacabra, and there was also one in northern Mexico. This one wasn't a canine-looking creature. This one was reported as a giant bat-like creature terrorizing a village. Goats are found daily with their blood sucked dry. Witnesses said that farmers have formed night vigilance squads, and they're telling people to keep their women and children locked up inside at night, and nobody knows really what it is.
I think there's a poker game going on somewhere, and they don't want their wives to know, so that's just a story they came up with. That's what it sounds like to me.
Right. Because it says it allegedly attacked one human. So
you don't usually see that out of Batman. Usually he's pretty tame.
Okay, so why is it going after goats mostly? I mean, I know for Texas it went after chickens, but it's a goat thing mostly.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe because they don't move real fast. Maybe because they're skittish. Maybe because they're skittish. I don't know.
Well, you know, they have those one goats that you scare and they like fall over and they're stiff. So I mean, that's pretty easy prey.
Well, yeah, I do that too when I see a bat. I go. That's a story for another day, folks.
That's a story for another day. I don't think that the one we saw was blood sucking. I
wasn't going to stick around and find out.
But you never know. You never know. You'd think an animal like the Chupacabra wouldn't be sucking blood either. I mean, it doesn't look like it has those capabilities, but apparently it does. So
some of them do. That canine one, I don't see where that has the ability to suck any blood. Maybe draw blood. Now the one you were talking about where it had some type of whatever,
right,
tube or something. I mean that. Yeah, I could see that. Oh, Oh, the suspense is killing me. Oh,
Hey, what's up, Brian?
yep.
And it's weird because there's people that have found this thing at like their front door. They open the door, and there's a creature that's standing 3-4. This one was also in 96. And it was saying that there was like a 3 to 4 foot high, scaly skin, clawed hands, red eyed, row of spikes with the from the skull cap down the back, and the creature was mumbling and gesturing. So now the chupacabra can mumble. It talks.
It was probably Halloween, and someone was trying to say trick or treat, and it was a costume.
I don't know.
Or it had too much to drink if it was mumbling.
Right.
There's just too many stories out there, and I just don't. At some point, it gets out of control, I think, and once again, that description just seems totally science fiction and fabricated, as opposed to the one behind Dan there.
Right.
I can get behind that one because I can see that and I can relate and say, okay, I could definitely see that being a possibility.
Well, and then that one said it was at around 2 a.m. And then at around 5:30 in the morning, a 7-year-old boy in the same house said that the creature stood on his bed and briefly on his chest. Both the older and the younger family member of the same family described the smell of a wet dog. But it doesn't look like a wet dog from their description. I
don't know.
The chupacabra is like so fascinating with everything that changes from like the descriptions. It's like when you ask somebody after an accident happened what actually happened, and the story changes like 17 times.
Absolutely.
That's the chupacabra.
That's what this seems like. And yeah. I don't know that we see that with any of the cryptids. Usually a cryptid's a cryptid, right?
It's pretty sound.
The descriptions are usually pretty straightforward.
If it's like the Bigfoot, they all look the same.
Yep.
They do this. They have the same mannerisms. Nessie doesn't change.
Yeah, there's not a Bigfoot walking around with a bow in her hair and she's wearing pink and she's got her, her hair's all combed. That's not the case.
Right.
They're all the same. Other than one might be totally white for, abominable snowman, which apparently is a cousin or somehow related to Sasquatch, Bigfoot, whatever. But the general characteristics and the mannerisms and how they go about things is pretty much the same. It's like the only thing that these chupacabras all have in common is the goat sucking part of it. Which once, like we said at the very beginning, that's what it means. So I don't know.
Yeah. Is it because the people watched the movie and they had this fascination with that movie, and that's how they became these creatures, these alien type creatures? Or, where does the kangaroo come into play? That's my thing. It goes from, the dog thing, the alien with the slanted eyes, but they're glowing red eyes, the spikes going down the head and back. And then there's this kangaroo. And did somebody bring a kangaroo from Australia and drop it off in Puerto Rico? Did it get loose from a zoo? Did we have one in the U.S. research facility that we mutated? I don't get it. But I think our version of the chupacabra is so interesting as far as, like Dan, you were saying, on the back end of this one in particular has these, And I know I've seen the picture of this particular creature that she had captured. Obviously it was dead, but has those protruding circular discs on its backside. And they look like they're hard discs that are attached to it. Like said, like horns that were cut off or something. So what animal even has that? I have no idea what animal would have something like that.
I've never seen one.
And then why does it have the horns on its head or extra ears? Is that a mutation thing?
I don't know. Almost looks like, yeah, something with the ears or extra folds of skin, loose skin or something up on there.
But then,
the neck looks fairly long, and the hind legs look taller.
The one account that was in Puerto Rico, the one lady said that she had like the 4 or 5 little creatures that had the same kind of like gray skin. Is it the same? And it just somehow crossed over into the United States? I don't know. I'd be fascinated to see if they actually caught one in Puerto Rico. Like even had like not, alive, but, if they found a carcass of one. I don't know. Do you know, Dan, if they've captured anything in Puerto Rico?
Everything I've read, there's nothing found. And I do find it a little unusual that the first sighting was 1995, the same year that Species came out.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah,
right. You kind of can connect the dots there with that first sighting almost. Why they described it as they did with the lizard type, the alien, that type of description. But how it morphs into to the canine looking one once it gets here, who saw it, who observed it and called it the Chupacabra once it came to the U.S. and said, "Oh, that's got to be a Chupacabra," or
Chupacabra it's basically a Puerto Rican name,
right? Or is it just the name they're giving all different things they see?
So from what I looked it up, the chupa is I gotta find my notes here, but it basically is the chupa is supposed to be the goat. Now I gotta find this for sure. So I don't want to say something false here, but I know it's separated.
Chupra is to suck and cabras is goats.
There you go. See, I didn't want to. I knew it had some because it has goat sucker, and I'm like, that's not right. I think I want to say it's reversed, but that's what because they saw so many. I mean, when you go back, the first sightings, in 95 were of, the goats themselves were being mutilated, and goats and the cows and stuff like that, they're the ones that were being mutilated, so that they just put it out there as the goat sucker. But when you look at this Princeton timeline, they go back to the 70s, but they don't say anything about the 70s are going back into Texas. And they're saying that the sightings of what may have been maybe a condor linked to a rash of mutilated cattle, blood was removed from to the last drop. And then another one in Texas that the rancher finds a bull dead and no blood around it and no tracks. And then there's nothing until 94 when Puerto Rico started talking about it. But there's nothing when in the 70s in the United States, there's no description except for that condor like action. It wasn't, there's nothing with like this dog or this creature that we see in front of us with this, grayish skin that is elephant-like and something protruding out of its skull, and then the two round protrusions coming out of its backside. I mean, that's not described in this at all. There's no description. So is it that, or is it something completely different that was happening in the 70s in the US versus what started in Puerto Rico in 95, 94? It's weird. But then it moves into the United States. Looks like around the mid 90s, around the same time. So there was one in Michigan, and they said that there was 8 calves frozen and dead. 2 were skinned from head to hooves, and then 6 were skinned all the way, all of their hide, from neck to hooves. All were black and white Holsteins and about a week old. So these were little calves that were dead. But it doesn't say, again, if it was a chupacabra, or it could have just been somebody out there hunting calves. I don't know. It's strange how you've got all these different accounts, but everything is getting blamed on the chupacabra.
He's getting a bad rap.
He is getting a bad rap. I'm kind of feeling bad for him.
And anytime something gets drained of blood, he did it.
It was the draining of the blood was supposed to be like Dracula, and all of a sudden everything's getting blamed on poor chupacabra, and he's probably just chilling in some cave or wherever, some dwelling, and really not doing anything. But because he looks odd, well, it must be him. He's done it, because they really didn't see this one killing anything. At least not that I remembered. Is it? Am I correct on this, Dan, or did they actually see this one?
They never saw it killing anything, but that Dr. Canyon, she did, like I said, like put sand around her coops just to see if she could get some kind of a print to figure out what the heck was killing her chickens. It's very weird that it would just bite them and then leave it, not drag it away,
Right.
take big chunks out of it.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, this thing has actually even been seen, not to bring in Skinwalker Ranch, but I mean, this thing's been brought in on that as well. So, I mean, is it something that is on Skinwalker Ranch? They talk about that. Why would it create holes in cows? Why does it have like those 3 marks, those penetration marks of where it's sucking the blood out of it? And because how does it do 3 when in this picture here he's got 4 canines? I mean, just like a dog would have. So how does it get to the 3? Is it supposed to be like he claws it with his paw? I mean, how does that work? I'm not trying to take anything away from the chupacabra. I'm just trying to figure this out, or I'm not trying to debunk anything, but it's just.
Yeah, and these things have like 4 toes too, so.
Yeah. So where's this 3 marks coming from? Because
Yeah.
they say it in the goats too, that there's like 3 marks, puncture wounds in
Yeah, and I
the
read it.
goat's
They're
nose.
like in the shape of an upside down triangle.
Yeah. So how do you do that with his mouth?
Yeah, I don't see how this creature could. I haven't really seen any drawings or whatever of what they see in Puerto Rico.
Right.
Tried pulling up a couple, and they are definitely unusual.
Because I don't understand. That's what's throwing me off is the puncture wounds and stuff like that. And even, well, I guess, looking at the one, there's a picture that I'm looking at. It looks like that animal that we're talking about, because I looked up the Chupacabra Puerto Rican version, but this one looks like a hairless canine, but he has long spikes going from the top of his head down the middle of his back to his tail area. He's got extremely long claws and extremely long ears, almost like German Shepherd kind of ears standing up like that, but very muscular. It looks very, large, almost. And then he's got a tail, like a normal tail that is long, skinny. But again, I don't see how this is doing like the 3 marks. But then you go to like the alien one, and that one's got like the 2 fangs like a vampire, and it's got alien eyes, and it looks like a lizard with like the spikes going down from the head to the back like a lizard. And then it also has like almost like hair or feathers. I can't really tell. And it's a drawing. So I find it weird. I mean, I'll post this on our Facebook page and see, but the different variations, but it's just kind of, let's see. I don't know if you guys can see. It's probably not going to show. No, it's not going to. There. You see it there?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of coming up. But I'll post it on there. But I mean, I still am kind of confused on the 3 puncture marks. Is it using its claws to do it and just 3? But how does it do the triangle? Anybody knows, anybody that's listening to us and they know why there's the 3 puncture marks and where it's coming from, please let us know. I really want to know this answer.
I see pictures of some that have 3 teeth.
Is it one like in the middle though? Like
yeah,
in the
bottom looks like it's right in the middle, but I'm going to tell you right now, the picture looks like someone doctored this photo or this dead animal.
Okay.
It's like decomposing, but the 3 sharp teeth are nice and bright white, and they look like, they don't belong there.
Yeah.
So,
I would love to know if there's somebody that's listening that's from like the Southwest and Texas area that knows anything about the Chupacabra that's down there and what the actual features of the mouth is and stuff. I would love to see and hear about this.
A lot of them are showing the double on the top and 1 in the middle, or 2 right in the middle.
Yeah.
And then the fangs on the outside is what I'm seeing on some, but definitely not like the canine type looking one. That's almost like the kangaroo. It's almost like a hybrid of all of them put together. A kangaroo, a bat, a dog. It's like just a total mashup of everything. So,
and again, the Chupacabra is just amazing of how many variations there have been of it. It's mind-blowing actually to hear all the different variations of the kangaroo, the bat, the alien, the lizard type face, the dog, everything is, I'm amazed by it. Did you know there was that many variations? Did
you know there's a cigar called the Chupacabra?
Is there?
I'm going to get one.
Where do you get this
I don't know.
From? Is it from like Cuba or something like that?
SeriousCigars.com.
Really?
Esteban Carreras Chupacabra.
Huh. I would like to see this. I want to see what it looks like. How big is this thing? Is this like the little cigars, or is it like the big hunking cigars?
Hard to tell by this. But let's see. Does it give a size? Four by 42.
Oh.
Length 4-inch. So it's a 4-inch. So it's
Okay, so it's like a
but
smaller,
it's pretty good size round.
medium,
It's
right?
42
I don't smoke
round.
cigars. My husband's smoked them before, but
it's probably a regular size.
okay.
But
how does it smell though? That's the thing too. Again, I don't smoke them, so I don't
single
know.
one is $5.20.
Well, that's not bad.
No, I'm gonna buy one. I might buy a couple. I'm gonna go to my cigar place and see if they have them on there now that I see what they are.
You better have a humidor.
I do.
Yeah. All right.
Has my name on it and everything.
Sweet. Nice.
$5 cigar, and a certain person that owns a certain bar would charge $19 for it.
And when we were there, I did not buy said cigar from said certain person, but it was
I know my
tempting,
husband bought a cigar from a certain person at a certain establishment, but I don't think it was that one.
Oh.
But that was just because it was our first time there and he wanted to be part of the crowd.
Gotcha.
So, when in Rome, do as the Romans do.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how the saying goes?
Yep.
And then when in Vegas, whatever happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Mm-hmm. Usually my money also.
The house always wins.
I usually do pretty good, but
they let you win
enough.
A little and then they suck you back in. That's just how it goes.
Yeah, you gotta know when to walk away.
That's right.
Know when
to run.
Yeah. Kenny Rogers knew it best.
Mm-hmm. He did.
So, I don't know. I think we kind of hit everything on the Chupacabra. What do you think, guys?
Let me check the paper I wrote.
You wrote a whole paper? Holy cow.
No. Almost 2 pages.
Wow. That's impressive.
Well, where do you think it stacks up in the urban legend cryptid realm of things? I think it's one of the more believable ones, only because it could be a wild dog that's attacking goats.
I would say it's
by name.
I'd say it's probably in like the top, at least like top 5. Because like you said, it's believable. I mean,
we don't have any stuffed Sasquatches around that someone said they caught or
no,
found
there's
on the
a lot
of
of
road.
Footprints though.
Yeah, well, I can make a big footprint.
That's true.
Some of these footprints they're finding now have dermal ridges in them, so who knows?
I think that'll be for another episode there.
I think so.
We'll have to talk about
There's so many of them out there.
As far as the Chupacabra, I did read, and I think it was in the documentary too, that there's people that think it's almost like a virus that's creating these things. So like a wild,
like a zombie virus
ish, kind of like a really mutated version of rabies.
Oh,
where these things are being created because one of these chupacabras are biting something else, and then it slowly morphs into another. There's some wild speculation. Like I said, aliens, and people are saying, well, since the first things we launched into space were dogs, who knows, maybe it's some alien race sent some dogs up from their planet and they ended up landing here. Others say that they were deliberately sent here from other civilizations and other galaxies to...
this one kind of looks like, now that I'm looking at it, besides its little mutations and stuff like that, it kind of looks like those dogs that they show in the Egyptian hieroglyphs and all that, those, granted, those ones are black, but I don't know, maybe that's the only way, because, all the cats were black and the dogs were black, but they had that smooth coat and stuff. They kind of look like that. Like if it sat down, I could see like that Egyptian dog. I don't know. Because didn't they say, aliens helped to form the pyramids and stuff like that?
Yep.
Maybe they left their dogs around, and that's what we have now that we call Chupacabra. I don't know. Theories just keep growing.
Yeah, I would agree.
But yeah, I would say it's probably in the top 5, because there's a lot of things that could be like this, where it's, it's an animal that is very, very believable that could be around.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Absolutely.
But I still say he's getting a bad rap. Poor thing.
He normally has blue eyes, doesn't he? So he can't be all that bad.
Right? Well, this one does. I mean, the one in Puerto Rico is supposed to have the red glowing eyes, but
yeah,
I
think
had
more
just
of
late nights.
One of the traits on that type right there, the U.S. version, more or less, I think one of the common traits I think was like the blue eyes or whatever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, this one is when you keep looking at it, it kind of grows on you. Gets cuter by the minute, just sitting here looking at them. Like I said, we'll post a picture of them on our Facebook page and on our website, and we'll probably get I think they have one of his backside. Not that anybody really wants to look at the backside, but because he has something interesting on the backside,
right?
Instead of us keep describing it. But he's kind of got a cuteness to him. But then too, I like dogs. So I don't know. I think we kind of hit everything on Mr. Chupacabra there. But who knows? Maybe in the future we'll find out some more, and maybe they'll be able to find him and find one that's alive, and they won't do any testing on him, but just try to see what he actually does do. Does he feed like normal, like a normal dog or creature does, or
right?
Does he actually suck the blood out of them and leave them for dead? I don't know. Who knows?
All I know is behind every urban legend, there's some hint of truth in
there. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep.
So for now, I think we'll let Mr. Chupacabra live on in the myths, the folklore, and hopefully next time somebody won't actually hit it with a car. They might just, put it in a zoo or something. I don't know. Not the zoos are always that great either, but
mm-hmm.
Or actually get a picture of it or a video of it. Again, if somebody is out Southwest area and you have a picture of it, we'd love to see it. Send it to us.
Yes, definitely.
So, well, that's all the time we got, guys. Sorry.
It's all right.
There's always next time.
Next
week. So, all right, this is it for this episode. Hope you all enjoyed it. Next week, we're discussing, and we just started talking about it during this episode, skinwalkers. So until then, want to thank you for listening. We'd love to hear what you have to say about our episode, what you thought of it, any other episodes as well that we've had in the past. Let us know if there's a topic you want us to talk about and discuss. Please email us. Our email address is sewpit@gmail.com. That's soupit@gmail.com. To keep listening to Wicked Darkness with Soupit Paranormal, please make sure to follow us. You can listen to us on multiple media platforms like Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, as well as on our website, www.supit.com. If you want to see more of us, give us a follow, give us a like. We're on Facebook, Instagram. We're also on YouTube. Our channel is Supit 2009. And until next week, for our believers, keep believing. And for our skeptics, continue to keep us grounded. I'm Kathy, your host. Thanks for listening to another episode of Wicked Darkness.
Bye.
Bye.